All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Kings NFL Weekly Prediction Show right here live on YouTube. I'm your host, Mean Gene, and we are getting ready for another exciting year of the National Football League. So for you guys who joined us last year, we came on late in August and we got rolling pretty good. As a matter of fact, we got really, really good. Okay, so we're going to be even better this year, okay? The Sports Kings are still the same people. There's 5 of us, okay? We don't even know how the 5th person got in, but he snuck through the back door. You got me, you got Dustin Pfeiffer, who I have worked with for over 15 years. You got downtown Wayne Brown out in California, who started with me with the Sports Kings. We got Dennis Sharmer also. So we're all going to be doing our thing here for 2026. And then we got Jacob Meadows, who I believe, folks, every time you see Jacob, he's in a hotel room, so I think he's homeless. But anyway, hey, Jacob, welcome to the show, brother.
What's up, guys? And I'm so glad to have AJ with us, man. AJ is my favorite person that we bring on the show outside of Brian DiArdo, and that's a close split. So,
well, hey, look here. Yep, and I saved AJ for last because, look, guys, we wouldn't be where we are today without this guy. When we were on ESPN 97.5, here in Houston, that's where we all live at, right? This was our producer. This was the guy that made us look good and sound good. And anytime we said something dumb or stupid, he would just shake his head. One of the most respectful young men I've ever met. Oh, and by the way, yesterday was his birthday. So happy belated birthday, AJ.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, AJ.
Thank y'all. Blessed to see 24 and excited to chop it up with some
right.
NFL.
AJ Russ joining us tonight to talk about. We got a good show tonight because, look, we got a short period of time. The NFL is going to kick off in about, 50 days, 49 days or something like that with that first Thursday night game, that rematch of Super Bowl 62 between those Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got to talk about the divisions. We got to talk about fantasy football. We got a lot to talk about over the next couple of weeks. We know training camp has kicked off for some teams, for some of the rookies, and pretty soon the veterans will be in there. But tonight's show is going to be really, really interesting, okay, because it's a preliminary thought process that we're going to put into this. We're going to talk about our low expectation teams, okay? These are the teams that, we just want to survive in 2026. We want to show some improvement over last year, perhaps. AJ and Jacob have theirs. I got mine. And we're going to talk about pretenders, teams that sort of like smoke and mirrors, right? They look good, but I don't know if they're really going to be that good. And these are our opinions, okay? We own them. We don't care if you agree with us or not. We're going to give it to you anyway. And then we got contenders. We got teams that could well be hosting that Super Bowl trophy in February at SoFi Stadium. And we're going to, there's several good teams out there, right? And then there's always those teams, Jacob, that kind of drop off. Teams that were highly contenders last year, and man, they just drop off the face of the earth.
Yeah. Teams similar to the Indianapolis Colts last year, right? Got off to a really, really hot start, fell apart when Sauce Gardner and Daniel Jones got hurt. And then you come into this year, and I don't think expectations are near what they would have been 9 weeks into last season. So, yeah, teams just like that. Those are the fun ones, though, right? You see the high highs. You watch them crater. They rebuild through the draft, unless they're the Browns, and then they rebuild through the draft, rebuild through the draft, rebuild through the draft. But fun.
It happens all the time. And, AJ, look, I know you and Jacob both are Texans fans. And I know you do not want the Texans to be in that category.
No.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry.
Well, Texans fans.
Nah.
You know what? I just assigned him a whole brand new team. Okay, I know you cover the Texans anyway. So let's get this right. You cover the Texans, but you're a big Cowboys fan. But back to the Texans, though. The Texans do not want to be one of those teams that go from like first to worst to not even making the playoffs. Am I right? Because we got to hear about it if that happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's a question, AJ.
Oh, my bad. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. The biggest question for the Texans is the offense to CJ Stroud? Because I mean, you're pretty secure in what the defense is going to be at this point, especially with like you've had additions like Reed Blankenship to the safety room, so Dustin, and
What's up, fellas?
What's up, dude?
What's going on?
What's up, Dustin? AJ is kind of giving us a little statement about the Texans. You know what? And I tell you what, man, I assigned AJ a brand new football team. You should have saw his face when I said he's a Texans fan. He's like, "What the hell?"
Hey, anything we can do to get him to stop talking Cowboys, I'll take it.
Oh, Lord.
I know. No, he's gonna talk Cowboys tonight for sure.
Nice.
But no, we were just talking about those teams that just some of those teams that make the playoffs, go deep in the playoffs, and then don't even make it, the following year. And we don't want the Texans to be that team in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's listen.
AJ, you could care less, right?
Yeah, listen. I mean, Jacob's not going to let you. I'm going to jump right in here, and I'm not going to go after his team or anything. But it's a big season for the Houston Texans. Like, it's one of those things where it's time to kind of put up or shut up, and it's like, you had that great start when you and that's the problem when you have a rookie year like that. I mean, it sometimes set the expectations too high, but that's the reality we live in. And since then, if we're being completely honest, and I know it's been an up and down offensive line, everything like that, but like CJ Stroud has not been the same since that first year. And I'm not saying he's been bad, but it wasn't like top 5, top 10 quarterback in the league stuff that we were thinking it was going to be since we saw that rookie season. So I think they got a good roster. I think they got a good team. The offensive line, once again, I haven't done all of my homework on the Texans, so I'm not going to speak too candidly about them, but I still think that will be a weakness. See how the running back room develops again. Who did they trade? They traded for somebody, right? Didn't they? Get a running back?
Mommy.
Okay. Yeah. So they took care of that. So they took care of that. I think the biggest issue will once again be that offensive line. We know the defense is there. And again, with Montgomery and with these receivers hopefully coming back healthy, can CJ Stroud get back to – I'm not saying he's got to be the best quarterback in the league, but Jacob, I think you'd agree. They're expecting him to be a top 5, top 10 quarterback in this league.
Yeah, they're expecting him to be a top 10 quarterback in the league. We have to get over the mental hurdles, right? Shout out to Demetrius. So, Gene, I was telling you before the show, D that just tagged in with the comment. He was one of my posse that was at the bar before I came up to the room for the show. And we, there he is again. So they're wanting CJ Stroud to get over this mental hurdle, right? Like it's one of these things where it seems like Houston may have broke his confidence. He's not the same player he was at Ohio State. Like he is just his rookie season was fantastic. Just like Dustin said, the expectations, that bar was set so high after a phenomenal rookie season. And it's just gone downhill since. And it's been sloppy line play. It's been inconsistent skill players around him. But at the end of the day, like there's a reason we have not picked up his 5th-year option. There's a reason that he's not under contract long-term with Houston, and that is because C.J. Stroud's the biggest question mark on the Houston Texans team right now as it stands. The O-line got better. We did improve the O-line on paper. I've said that before and then nothing. But we have improved the O-line on paper. The defense is phenomenal. So it's C.J. Stroud is the hinge pin in this. Like if Stroud plays well, Houston does well. If Stroud does not, we won't make the playoffs.
I think what's funny on it, Gene, and I'll get your opinion on this, is like sitting from this side of it, because again, Jacob and I are kind of intertwined in this when it comes to CJ Stroud going, Bryce Young going 1, CJ Stroud going 2, and that's our 2 teams. And, when that rookie season went off, it was like, man, CJ Stroud going to be this top 5 guy. Bryce Young, is he going to make it in the league? And to be honest with you, the last 2 seasons, Bryce Young's numbers have maybe even been better than CJ Stroud's. And they haven't picked up Bryce Young's 5th-year option either. So it's a big year for both of those quarterbacks to see if they can get that big second contract.
Yeah, it will be interesting, guys. And I tell you what, we all have our favorite teams going into 2026. I know AJ Cowboys, Jacob Texans. I just happen to, roll with those Steelers, and Dustin, I know you're rolling with the Panthers. So
your best friend's back for another year, Gene.
He's back for another year. Tonight we're going to talk about where do our teams fall into the categories that we're going to cover tonight. Okay, we're going to cover the low expectations, the pretenders and the contenders and all of that stuff, and the pretenders. So Dustin, guys, we had a chance to talk with Brian DiArdo. Now, Brian, you know Brian. Brian always liked to go off the cuff, right? So he actually came up with a fourth category that I allowed, and we talked about it. Now, we're going to listen to Brian's sleepers. He said, "Me and Gene, let's talk about sleepers." And then we'll play this cut, and then we'll come back and give our thoughts.
I love Tyler Shuck, if that's how you say his name.
Yes.
I love, their coach and Kellen Moore, what they did that first year. They started off horrifically. Were they like 1-9 or something like that? They started really bad, but I really love how they easily could have let that season get away from them, and they didn't. And they clawed, and they finished, I think, with 6 wins. And Shuck really showed a lot of promise last year. And, they added a lot of young faces to that team. Travis Etienne was one of the really good guys they got in free agency. I like their draft. And they still did keep, Alvin Kamara. Maybe from a leadership standpoint, that's good. And Cameron Jordan. So they kept some of the stalwarts of that team. And they've really started Shuck with some good young talent. And that's the most winnable division in the NFL. So I really, really like the Saints' chances this year. I'm not going to say a Super Bowl, but I certainly think they can compete for a division title and maybe obviously get into the playoffs with the division title. The other team is the Vikings. I find it really surprising that there's not more talk about Kyler Murray and him going there. I know that the end of his time in Arizona wasn't great, but when he was healthy, he still put up really good numbers. And if he's, right. And again, Kevin O'Connell got a great season out of Sam Darnold, which kind of set up him and success in Seattle. And then even last year with them, I mean, they had a slide during the season, could have easily finished with a bad record, and they finished over 500 with really horrible quarterback play. So, Kevin O'Connell's one of the best coaches in the league. I know they're in a tough division, but those are my 2 sleepers.
All right, there you go. Brian DiArdo from CBSSports.com. He joins us regularly throughout the NFL season on our NFL Weekly Prediction shows. So, AJ, I want to start with you. He likes the Saints. The Saints are coming back with your former offensive coordinator. Kellen Moore gets into his second year with this team. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a really good take. I agree with him, especially I love the draft pick. They're drafting Jordan Tyson in the first round in the top 10. He's another wide receiver that can be right there with Chris Olave in that offense to be even more explosive. And then, like you mentioned, with Travis Etienne going there and Alvin Kamara, although I believe he's going to be 31, they re-signed him to a new deal, so he'll be like a running back 2 there. They have some weapons to be nice if Shuck can continue to ascend. I mean, he's 26 years old, so, I mean, of course, he's closer to his prime than most second-year quarterbacks would be, but I like that pick as well, too. And then also talking about the Vikings, yeah, with Kyler Murray, he's going into playing in that KOC system under Kevin O'Connell. That system is really complex. He's never seen the quarterback like Kyler as how mobile he is, but I believe that he would be able to add a higher ceiling to what the Vikings want to do this year. Mind you, they won 9 games last year with terrible quarterback play. So imagine if, Kyler's able to be just suitable, be fine, play similar to what Sam Darnold did in 2024. I mean, that's a team that won, I believe, 14, 15 games in 2024. So those are some good sleepers too. I mean, y'all probably aren't going to agree but what I'm about to say about this stuff, but I think the Cowboys are there too.
Here we go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go because what's it called? People talk about Dallas.
Man, look at here, AJ.
Yeah. I still have a take on it for sure. But the defense was terrible. It was the second worst in franchise history. The only defense worse in Cowboys franchise history was 1960, and that's the year the Cowboys were made. And they still won 7 games last year. So that tells you how prolific that offense was. And then getting Christian Parker as a defensive coordinator from the Eagles, prying him away from the Eagles, that's a huge thing right there. And then drafting Caleb Downs, that was my favorite draft pick. That's who I wanted in Dallas the entire time. Bringing in players like Rashawn Gary, drafting Malachi Lawrence, bringing in Jalen Thompson, one of the more underrated safeties in the league as well, too. This team just needs to have, even just a top 20 defense. I believe they can win 10, 11, 12, 13 games, something like that, and get into the mix. So, but that's my take on it. We'll let the football talk when it gets here for sure.
All right, AJ. I'm with you on that. Dustin, let's go ahead and get your take on this because I know for one, I saw you cringe when he said New Orleans Saints because this is obviously in your division with the Carolina Panthers there, who won that division, by the way, the NFC South. So your take on New Orleans?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not. I did cringe. I'm not gonna hate on it though, because again, the one thing he did say that I will fully admit as a Panthers fan is this division is one of the easier ones to win. That is probably the most wide open. The only reason I agree kind of two things with him. Like I like Tyler Shuck. Gene, you said it all last year. He should have been playing earlier. I don't disagree with that. I don't want to crown him just yet, though. Like I want to see him playing more, some more meaningful football games with a little bit more of a target on his back. He's the guy that comes in, that people weren't really ready for. I'm not saying he can't be good, but let's just, that is we know how year two goes for quarterbacks a lot of times. A lot of times there's a slight step back before you take that next step again, and that's what I want to kind of see from him. But I do like that they added ETN. Kamara's obviously getting old, so to have that where you can scale back his workload and have ETN in the backfield, and then Tyson is a deep threat. So Tyson and Olave is a nice combo. We'll see how the biggest question mark will be the Saints defense and how they continue to stack up. But I think they'll be in the mix. So I don't see that, especially with how they've been bottom of the league the last 3-4 years. I think it is a huge step up for them. The Vikings is very interesting to me. It's I believe so much in Kevin O'Connell that if Kyler Murray is healthy, that he could get an explosive year out of Kyler Murray. And again, it's not just the health with Kyler Murray; it's how he goes about his day-to-day business. Is he studying that film? Is he being a leader in the locker room? Because if you remember, guys, he probably could have came back and played last year in Arizona. He was healthy, and they were like, you know what? Just sit out the rest of the year. We're good without you. That's not a good sign when you're a franchise quarterback and the team's like, nah, we're good. We paid you $250 million, but hey, go ahead and take a walk somewhere else. So he's got a lot to prove. We'll see if his maturity level has stepped up, but there's no doubt about it when he's on the field and he's an explosive athlete. And if he can throw balls to Justin Jefferson and guys like that, like Kevin O'Connell is the guy to do it. So that's an intriguing one to watch. The tough thing with that is that division is just so tough. So I like both of those that he called out. And, AJ, I'm not going to hate on you that much about the Cowboys. Caleb Downs was, I think, one of the best picks in the draft when it comes to who was taken. They needed that for defense. So we'll see what happens with them. But I can't hate on Brian DiArdo's 2 picks for sleepers there.
Okay. Jacob, your thoughts?
I like the Saints. I think the Saints are a good sleeper pick. The Shuck Show was great to watch last year. I agree with Dustin. We're going to have to watch for the sophomore slump, right? He could easily take a step back. He's almost 30. So technically, he should be able to get through that without too many bumps in the road. But, you never know. They did add Jordan Tyson. That was a huge pickup. Adding ETN to supplement AK was incredible. That was a great pick. Their offensive line is still solid. It'll come down to their defense. Now, at the Vikings, I have them in a different category. And to combat AJ's Dallas Cowboys picks, I'm sorry, AJ, but the New York Giants are on my sleeper pick list. I think the Giants might possibly win that division, depending on how they actually come out and play. So the Giants are my sleeper pick from the NFC least, and certainly not Dallas. I think Dallas has an okay year, but not quite.
Okay, AJ, I'm gonna
if they can get Cam Scatterboo to stop doing flips, then maybe they'll be in that sleeper category.
Okay, I'm gonna AJ. We have the Dallas Cowboys down as your sleeper. I believe it or not, then we're gonna talk about where I have them. I don't have them as a low expectation. I have them pretty high up there. So we're gonna talk about that. But as far as the Saints and the Vikings, the Vikings, I could see. I think it depends on who's going to be the quarterback going into 2026. They are going to have a pretty good quarterback battle there in Minnesota, and I think don't think that McCarthy doesn't want this job. No one likes to be there and see a new guy come in and take his job, which I think is going to be a good competition. And like you said, Dustin, having Kevin O'Connell there, that's the best person there to make the decision on who should lead that team. As far as the Saints go, I wasn't shocked that he picked the Saints, and I would agree that the Saints are a team worth watching. ETN, he's going to be home, so to speak, right? And Alvin Kamara, I think you're going to have a pretty good, solid running back core there. So you got Jordan coming back, Cameron. So I think it's good. I think the Saints are going to be interesting to watch. That division, the NFC South, which we will be talking about in a couple of weeks, is I think is up for grabs. I mean, 8-9 record or 9-8 record won that division last year, so you got to give the Saints a chance. So that's my take on that. All right, guys, we're gonna move to low expectations and throw as many teams as you want in this category. I definitely have a couple of them in here, but let's see what Brian Diardo, he might upset some of you guys with some of the teams he threw in there as low expectations.
They're in a tough division, right, with Denver and Buffalo. So there's no really any expectations there. The Browns, I think in Cleveland, there might be some guarded optimism with a new coach, with Todd Monken. And, maybe if Deshaun Watson's healthy, they can do some things. But realistically, no. I think for them, if they can start to build a foundation that could lead to future success, that's really the benchmark for them this season for success. And then the Titans, I mean, they were probably the league's worst team last year. Another coaching change there. Seems like every team had a coaching change. But I think when I look at those four teams, the Titans are probably the team I'm most optimistic about.
All right, guys. There you go.
Are we saying this is? Are we saying this is teams that are going in with low expectations, or we think they should have low expectations?
No, this is what we think, because this is Sports King. These are our opinions, right?
Okay.
So I mean, look,
okay.
These are teams that are trying to turn the ship around. Teams that are, these are teams that look, okay, they want to be better than what they were last year. If they were 3-14 last year, then they might want to show 6 games this year. You know, depending on and like Brian said, you got new coaches. You got the Raiders is definitely interesting, okay, because we don't know what's going to happen here. Everything is kind of brand new there. So that's what it is. It's kind of like turning the ship around. So Dustin, you want to go ahead and start with your low expectations?
I mean, you just said a team right there that I think has low expectations probably, but wants to take a jump, and I think it's the Raiders. I think they've had a good offseason. Obviously, you get the number 1 overall pick in Mendoza. Somehow you get Max Crosby back, and I think Crosby loves Vegas enough that he can forget all what happened and kind of come back and go to work. A center in Lindbaum. I mean, they added some players. So I think they'll be a team that obviously has been near the bottom looking to take a jump. So I can see that. And then, I'm looking around, I'm looking at the league, and, he mentioned the Browns. That's another good call out. I think they want to continue to increase slowly, but when you trade a guy like Myles Garrett, like, I know they got I think it was a good trade for both teams. They got Jared Verse, they got some picks, but when you trade your franchise player like that, you're obviously going to have low expectations going into the season. So those are a couple of teams that I'm looking at. The other team that has low expectations is going to be interesting is the Dolphins. Like, you go out, you give Malik Willis a contract like that, Is he enough to give you a little bit of a jump to where you can be a respectable team, maybe flirt around 500? I don't think any of us think they're going to be, a division win or anything like that. But can they bring some stability back to that quarterback room, some respectability to the Dolphins, and try to build that back up? So those are some teams I'm looking at that I think have low expectations but have some guarded optimism to make some steps moving forward.
All right, Jacob, who you think is going to turn it around, or who's going to fall flat? Who's going to, it's an opportunity to pick a first to worst type team. Put them in this case.
I agree with every team that's been listed. I think Malik Willis was almost set up to fail by trading Jalen Waddle. So in terms of being a respectable team, I think Jalen Waddle kind of completes that offense. I am not a Jalen Waddle fan, but it does feel like they kind of lack pure talent at the skill positions. However, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are probably my biggest low expectations team, and I think that's a fall flat team. I think this is going to be the worst year we see out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a long time. And I love Baker, but they lost too much, right? And Mike Evans kind of been off injured. That's not that big of a deal. Chris Godwin getting older, off injured, still on the team, bigger deal. But they lost their whole defense. Every star that's played on their defense is essentially gone, led by Levante David. I think that they have too many holes, and they weren't that good last year. I think this might be the last year that we have their coach with Tampa Bay. And I think Tampa Bay is going to be not good. So my number 1 low expectation team is going to be them. And then the Titans, like Diardo said, highest expectations out of the lowest expectations pool right? I think Cam Ward improves. I think the Titans actually show a little bit of talent. I think year 2 here with Cam, I think they are actually going to look better. Are they going to compete for the South crown? No. But I do think that they'll be significantly closer than they were last year. So the Titans and Bucks are going to be my two biggest. Now, the Raiders, I should have mentioned the Raiders with my sleeper team. I think they'll host a top 10 defense. And if Captain Kirk can sling it, but if Captain Kirk can sling it, the Raiders could be good. They retooled their offense. Their defense is going to be, it's great on paper. It's great on paper. They'll be a fun team to watch. Yeah, Titans and Bucks.
Okay. All right. AJ?
I hate to do this, Gene, real quick. I hate to do this real quick, AJ. I'm actually going to give Jacob credit. I never do this on this show, so I got to give him credit at least one time. I didn't put the Buccaneers in this category because I was hoping we were going to have more of a fall off. Who's going to be high expectations but flops? But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were at the top of my list, who I think is going to flop this season. So I agree with everything you said, and I will also throw another. It feels like I'm picking on the division my team's in, but I will also throw out the Atlanta Falcons. I don't think going and getting Tua Tagovailoa and still having, the other, Penix as your quarterback, I don't think they've solved anything for what they're trying to do. So I think those are two teams, and that's why I am higher on the Saints and the Panthers, because I think the Bucs and the Falcons are going to have very down years.
All right, AJ.
Cool. Those are interesting low expectation teams. The only thing I would say about the Bucs too, I think a lot of people are sleeping on that they drafted Reuben Bain. I think that he could be a really good rookie immediately out the gate. And they still have Antoine Winfield Jr. They also drafted Josiah Trotter, and also, Vita Vea, I think he wants a new contract, but they still have some pieces. But I think personally they should have moved on. They should have moved on from Todd Bowles last year, but hey, we'll see about this year. But not for me, specifically, why I thought about this category, a low expectation team that could be fun to watch is the Arizona Cardinals, just because you have Jeremiah Love drafted 3rd overall. Then people forget about Trey McBride, man, just because Arizona hasn't been good. Trey McBride might be the best tight end in the NFL. He is an absolute dog. And then Michael Wilson played good last year as well too. And then also Marvin Harrison Jr., he's going into year 3, a very pivotal year, because if he's able to show the true potential we thought he could be coming out of college, could be a contract type of season for him. He gets extended. So the biggest question there though is their offense and the quarterback, whether it's Jacoby Brissett, he ends up playing, he has.
They don't have a quarterback.
Exactly.
Carson Beck isn't the answer either.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say the sloth. He does kind of look like a sloth, but I wasn't gonna say. But they're definitely a team that's looked at that's gonna be picking high in the draft next year. But they have some weapons and they have a foundation. For example, 2027, they could be a team that's similarly in the Saints position that could be a wild card team or a potential division sleeper winning. But that division is tough in the NFC West. But the Cardinals, I'm intrigued by them, and then Dustin missing the Dolphins too. Malik Willis, he's intriguing there. I think that their defense is going to be better than what people think. And they drafted with their 2nd first-round pick, Chris Johnson out of San Diego State. He's a really good guy. And then they also drafted Jacob Rodriguez as well, too. And then they just re-signed, I believe, their linebacker Jordan Brooks as well on a 3-year deal as well, too. And they have Chop Robinson in the defensive end position. So those are some teams that, on a face value, surface level, they don't look like they could do anything, but they could be some competitive teams that have some fun elements to watch.
Okay. All right, guys. I will throw mine in there. And look, I have to say that the Arizona Cardinals are the definition for low expectations.
Right.
You got one of your players who's facing a gang-related gun charge in Canada, who may not even be around for the season. You got a director of scouting who's been suspended for gambling. You have a quarterback who's getting paid a lousy $5 million a year as a starter. There's probably several backup quarterbacks that are making more than Jacoby Brissett. That should have been taken care of a long time ago. Hey, I know they were lousy last year. They sucked. But that's all you got. That's the only quarterback you got. And Jacob, you said it before we even got on the air. Your highest paid quarterback in the NFL is making $60 million this year, and you got a starting NFL quarterback making $5 lousy million. That's low expectations. They fit that category by themselves. I don't know what the hell they're thinking about, but anyway, I'll throw the Browns in there because
the thing that sucks for the Cardinals, Gene, is that they have to be in a division with the Rams, 49ers, and Seahawks. That is absolutely brutal to be in that division.
That's low expectations within itself, right?
Exactly.
So I'm going to throw the Browns in there, even though, look, man, I like to see Deshaun Watson earn that $46 million he's going to earn this year. And I think Tom Monken wants to see that too. I think the Browns, even though their expectations are low as far as wins and losses, they could easily be a pretender. I don't know. I'm not ready to put them up there. Too much change, too much turnover going on in that organization. I don't know who's going to be the quarterback. I think Munkin is in a pretty good position. AJ, I'm surprised you didn't throw. AJ, I was expecting you to throw the Giants, Commanders, and the Eagles.
Oh, I mean, I don't think much.
As your low expectation. See, the Giants, I don't know. I think the Giants. Look, Harbaugh, just don't let that name fool you. I mean, he still has to come in there and change that whole culture thing there. I don't think Giants fans should be that excited.
Thank you.
It's not like you're getting the Baltimore Ravens, John Harbaugh.
And he's been choking leads with the Ravens for years now, mind you. So, yeah.
And it's also their two best players got to stay healthy in Jackson Dart and Malik Neighbors. I mean, that's the biggest thing going into the whole entire season. So,
well, they don't even know when Malik Neighbors will be back. So now we're just hoping that Cam Scatterbo can actually play more than a couple of games, but run of his face through a brick wall. Like it's when Scatterbo was on the field, the Giants had a different energy than they have in years, and that's kind of what I'm banking on because Neighbors might not even come back, and if he does, it'll be midway through the season, and the season will either already be lost or they'll be in contention, and he might actually disrupt the chemistry that they've been able to create up to that point.
Or you have an Odell Beckham Jr. resurgence.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, OBJ can come back. It's just one hand grabs all the way to the Super Bowl.
Nah, they've been there, done that. That ain't happening. All right, guys. Let's make it a little bit more interesting now. Let's go ahead and look at pretenders, okay?
Oh, all right.
Smoke and mirrors. This is what this whole category is all about. Let's see what Brian DiArdo from CBS Sports had to say about this.
Regressed last year. I think that window is probably closed. And I like Jared Goff. He's a very good player, but I think he probably had his window to win a Super Bowl, and it's like I said, it's probably closed. I think losing Montgomery really hurt them, even though Gibbs was really good last year until the end. He kind of faded and burned out. I think their defense has been a huge issue for the last couple of years. I don't see it getting any better this year. So yeah, I mean, I think the Lions are just another one. The Commanders, again, I don't think people are really talking about them as a great team, but I do think people think they might rebound from last year's tough season. I don't think they necessarily will. The Texans are another one. Great defense, good supporting cast, but we don't know about C.J. Stroud, and I love C.J. Stroud. But he just hasn't made that next jump. Right. And so until he does, you got to kind of label them as a pretender. The Buccaneers, I think, are too. They had a backslide last year as well. And America's team, pretenders. They always are. And
let's go.
Even though they've got Prescott, who's good.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't hear more. He barely elaborated on that. Okay.
No, he didn't. He didn't elaborate. He threw them in there at the last minute. So AJ, let's go ahead and start with you. So I mean, he threw the Washington Commanders in there as a pretender.
Wow.
And but your thoughts on that?
Pretender
and your pretenders.
Right. Now, Commanders, I mean, I don't really view them as doing, but they have a lot to prove coming off of last season. Jaden Daniels has to stay healthy first and foremost. And then, you look at their weapons. I mean, I don't know if they have, real weapons besides Terry McLaurin. He's getting older. He's on the wrong side of 30. And then they brought in Rashad White from Tampa Bay. They have Jacory Roscoe-Merritt. I mean, that's fine, I guess. But there's not really anything to be too encouraged by them, in my opinion. And they drafted Sonny Styles. I think that's a good pick to, replace Bobby Wagner. But I just don't think that they have enough right now. But I love the point that he made about the Lions, though. I couldn't agree more. That 2024 season, that's going to come back to bite them for years to come, I think, because that's when you had the number one seed. I know they had so many defensive injuries, but that playoff game against Washington, I mean, you're the number one seed. You had a bye week as well, too. You had the playoffs potentially in Detroit, and you end up losing like that. And then also the year before when they lost against the 49ers after having a 24-7 lead at halftime, too, in the NFC Championship game. I mean, those windows aren't there. Even Dan Campbell talked about it then when they lost that game. That might be their last shot to win. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs being the running back one there, I mean, a lot of people saw it on the precipice of happening. But I don't know, how that's going to work necessarily just for a full season, because I think him and Montgomery, they had a nice split. That's why they were so explosive. But I think the Lions are definitely up there as well, too. That's a team I would consider. And then, he said that about the Cowboys, but like I said, he didn't elaborate on it for real. And like they people got to understand too, when Dak is healthy, we already know like they have a top offense, but like the defense hadn't been made good for years. Like the number one the problem for them was stopping the run. You bring in Quentin Williams. A lot of people don't even talk about Quentin Williams being on the Cowboys now, but he's one of the best defensive tackles in the league too.
Right.
So I don't want to keep talking about the Cowboys too much, but I mean, like I said, we're gonna line it up and see what happens. But I definitely don't think they're pretenders. They have a lot to prove, and I think when people saw the Cowboys make that trade for Quentin last year, they saw that was a good move for this season, not last year because it was too late. So let's see what things happen this year.
Jacob.
I agree with AJ that the Cowboys don't deserve to be in the Pretenders tab.
Oh,
I
come
do agree
on.
with that. Hey, they're closer to low expectations, just like the Commanders are. Like the Commanders shouldn't be a pretender either. Like AJ said, they have so much to prove. They sucked last year. They got Jaden Daniels hurt more than once. There's nothing to be excited about in Washington outside of the hope that you can return to something that was an enigma. Right, so the Commanders don't deserve to be on that. They are low expectations. The Cowboys are riding a gray line in between those two things. The Cowboys could win the division, though. The Cowboys do have enough talent. They just don't have the heart, right? They're there to make money, not to win games. Jerry said that, not me. But it's just one of those things. Yeah, he has this offseason. The Lions take was good. Jared Goff was never the answer in Detroit. Had they gone after a different quarterback, I think things could have been different. Jared Goff's not the answer. Their window is shut without a lot of luck. And I will tack one more team onto this list, and it'll be my
thunder.
My first hot take that most people won't agree with outside of my love for the Browns that I showed last week. I think the Seattle Seahawks deserve to be on this list. I do not think they returned to form, and I do not think that they finished better than third in their division. So,
okay, you cannot hype them up, and all last year that was your favorite team, and then they really don't make any changes, and you're just going to drop them off a cliff.
It's a different year, baby. I think Sam Darnold's going to find his ghosts again, right? And I think so. JSN is a fantastic receiver, but I do not think that he repeats what he did last year. They lose K9, which – they were fine. However, Zach Charbonnet was able to offset him last year. Charbonnet's still hurt. I do not care that they took the Notre Dame running back at all. I think their offense is going to be missing a full cog there, and I do not think that Seattle returns to form. They are going to be my first hot take that Seattle is closer to a pretender than they are a contender this year.
Well,
Dustin Pfeiffer.
I guess this is how I look at these categories different. I don't disagree with what you're saying, Jacob. As a guy who you saw me, I didn't really believe in Darnold all the way throughout. Could they take a step back? They absolutely could take a step back. Most Super Bowl champs don't really follow up and repeat. You know what I mean? It's tough to do that. And they play.
I don't think they make playoffs.
They play in the hardest division in football. But to sit there and say they're not on the contenders list in the preseason is hard to say because they've already proven it. The way I kind of look at these, and I know it's New Year's, but I got to see some pedigrees from some teams to prove it. And that's why I say to AJ, I really like what Dallas's offseason has done. Again, I am higher on Dallas in their offseason than I have been in a while. To add that defense with Downs and Williams and all that, figure out Pickens if Dak can stay healthy. I don't know. We'll see if Javonte Williams can have another year like that. It's tough with that running back. That worries me a little bit. But I like what they've done. But I'm never going to put them in a contenders category until I see them do it on the field.
That's fair.
And they haven't done it on the field. Seattle's done it on the field. So I can say, okay, they're a contender right now. Do I think they could slip up? Absolutely, I think they could slip up. On the flip side, with what Brian DiArdo said, you could probably replay that clip, and it's word for word what I was thinking. Detroit, I don't like where they're headed. I don't like getting rid of Montgomery. I love Jahmyr Gibbs. He's one of the best running backs in the NFL, but he's kind of a smaller dude, and the more he carries and that workload gets higher, I worry about how it's gonna affect his play. Goff's getting older. They lost some more offensive linemen. Like I just think, like AJ said, they really missed a golden opportunity, and that sucks to say because I love Dan Campbell and I love what they've done with the Lions. But in that division with Green Bay and Chicago, and you never know with Minnesota, like. It's just I think they've missed their chance. And Tampa Bay, that was where I was going to put them, Jacob, not in the low expectations, but in the pretenders. I completely agree with that. And I'm going to throw one more out here that might be a hot take. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are pretenders.
Facts.
And the reason I say that is because you lose A.J. Brown, and I know it wasn't a great relationship and it kind of had to part ways, but you get Lemon. And don't get me wrong, Gene, I know that's your USC guy, and I love Lemon. I think he could be a very good player. But to rely on a rookie wide receiver to come in and have that big of an impact along with Devontae Smith, that's a lot asking on an offense when offense was already the biggest problem of this football team. and you throw that in there, I think Saquon's been healthy for 2 years. How's that wear and tear going to be on his body going forward? And they lost a lot on defense, guys. Let's not forget about that. Jalen Phillips was one of their best rushers. He went to Carolina. Jalen Carter still trying to get a contract. We don't know what's going to happen there. I just don't like – they really didn't do anything besides adding Woolen, the cornerback, in the offseason. I think they've got a lot of questions going into training camp right now.
They did bring in Grenard, though. That's a good pick. They lost N'Kobe Dean, too, though. So, yeah.
Yeah.
They lost a lot of people.
And Jalen Hurts is not a play-action quarterback, so that's another thing.
No,
not at all. So, Jacob, I'm actually going to give you a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for here? Credibility, okay?
Oh, there's too much credit going on for Jacob tonight.
Here's the thing. Okay, 4 NFL teams traded, released, or did something in free agency to the Super Bowl MVP. All right, so we know Seattle's won. All right, we know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did it with Desmond Jackson. We know Green Bay did it with Desmond Howard, and the Cowboys did it with Larry Brown. So what I decided to do was just look and see. So you got what 2 defensive players, right? And you got 2 offensive players. So what I did was went back the following year and see what those teams did after they got rid of their MVP from the previous Super Bowl. So if you want to look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that Super Bowl they played against the Raiders, it was Dexter Jackson just took the ball from the Raiders quarterback. I was at that Super Bowl. So that Super Bowl was over in the first quarter. So that's a defensive player. So look, so he leaves that team the next year. The following year, Tampa Bay, they went 5-11. Okay, but that's a defensive player. All right. So when Desmond Howard won the MVP with the Green Bay Packers in '97, then the following year, the Packers went on to go 11-5. They were good, but they weren't good enough. The Vikings were 15-1 that same year, '98. So we look at Larry Brown for the Cowboys. Larry Brown was the MVP in 1996, and he goes to the Raiders the following year. Dallas goes 6-10 the year after that. So I guess the defensive players were not putting a lot of emphasis on the offensive players. I tend to think Kenneth Walker leaving the Seahawks is a different situation there. They know that the one kid who tore his ACL, he tore that in January. So you expect him to just really come back and be effective? I don't think so. So Jacob, I can see the Seattle Seahawks definitely being a pretender. And now you're putting so much pressure on Sam Darnold. Yeah, you got JSN, but man, losing Kenneth Walker III was huge, I think, in my opinion. So I agree, Jacob, with you on that. So as far as my pretenders, go ahead, Jacob.
I will say one thing. One, I do appreciate all the sweet words.
No, we're not.
Kenneth Walker was not the real Super Bowl MVP. Everybody knows it was Jason Myers. So this is a little different because the kicker can't win it. Jason Myers should have won a Super Bowl MVP.
The kicker don't get there if the running back don't give him the field, position to make that kick, though.
And to counterpoint one thing about that, I don't just. First of all, Gene and Jacob, hearing this from you two when you were the biggest Sam Darnold fans last year, just to completely write this guy off now.
Hey, remember when Kansas City got third in their division, Dustin? You didn't believe then either. That was Gene and I's take as well.
We go pull up all the takes, Jacob. We could do this for everybody, all right? All I want to say, the only thing, and I'm not a Sam Darnold guy, the only thing that will save him, you talk about losing, they only lost 3 free agents off this whole Super Bowl team. That's remarkable. Most Super Bowl teams, when they win it, they have huge turnover. And the one thing that I'm not saying they're not going to take a step back. Playoffs, that's crazy not saying playoffs. Because the one thing that's going to save Sam Darnold is that they still have one of the best defenses in the league. Let's not forget about that.
True.
Sure, unless it was a miracle run.
I'm still on Sam Darnold's bandwagon. Look, the first ever USC quarterback to win a Super Bowl. And we know how many quarterbacks have come out of USC, right? To play in the NFL. So, no, he's still good. I just think I can see them in that pretender category. I'm going to throw in, believe it or not, I'm throwing in my Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm throwing because look here, what are you trying to do? The bringing in Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy. This is not 2011. All right, what they did back there and beating Pittsburgh with that Green Bay Packer team, it's just different. I don't know. You don't have Mike Tomlin. Just think about that whole division. Zach Taylor is the only returning head coach in that division. I don't know what they expect out of the Steelers this year, but definitely not a contender at all. So I think it's appropriate to put Pittsburgh in the pretender category. I also have the Commanders, and I got the Lions in there, and I got Tampa Bay. So that's I think.
Yeah, I wanted to leave the Steelers to Eugene, but I mean they have to be in the, they go back to what I said at the start. Until I see it get proven on the field, instead of just being like this barely over 500 team squeaking to the playoffs, like I need to see it, and they haven't done enough. I mean, I was all on board to say, all right, the time between Tomlin and Steelers, it was time. But if you get rid of Tomlin, and not to hate on Mike McCarthy, and then bring in Mike McCarthy, like you're taking a step back. Like that's not an upgrade. As I know the relationship is severed. I know the relationship is severed, but that's not an upgrade. And that's just same thing I said with Baltimore. We'll see how that works out. So you're right about that. And then yeah, I mean it's going to be tough for your team this year, Gene. I hate to say that.
Yeah, they did bring in a top 5 defensive coordinator. Patrick Graham, I will die on this hill. Patrick Graham makes the Steelers defense better. Everything else, you can say what you will. I will agree with it.
Yeah.
Patrick Graham is a top 5 DC in the league.
Look, we're an old team on defense. You know,
and real quick, one last thing with Washington. With Washington, the reason I haven't mentioned them is because I truly don't know any category to put them in because there's so many unanswered questions. It's just like you have no idea what you're going to get from this Commanders team. You could go back out and have another 2 or 3 win season, or somehow Jaden Daniels could find the magic and you could be in the hunt for a playoff or division title. Like that's one team in this league that I truly have no idea what to expect from because it all goes back almost to the CJ Stroud type thing. He had that one big year. Can Jaden Daniels become a star again? That if he does, then that answers the questions for the Washington Commanders.
Right. Okay. All right, guys. Our last category. And this right here, these are our contenders. These are the teams that we think have an absolute great chance to be holding up that trophy at SoFi Stadium on February 14th, 2027. These teams will compete for the Super Bowl, in our opinion. Okay, so Brian, we had fun with this one. So let's go ahead and see what Brian Diardo from CBSSports.com had to say about this.
For the real, like, legit Super Bowl guys and then the other contenders. I think there's like 2 tiers for me. So, like, the legit contenders are Seattle, obviously, the defending champs, even though they already are going to start off with some injuries. So they already have some challenges. The 49ers, who are in the same division. The Rams are in the same division, who I think would be – there are a lot of people's, I think, trendy pick to go to the Super Bowl this year. Mm-hmm. So you got 3 teams from the same division, once again, that are among the main contenders. And then alongside them, I would probably put the Bills, who just every year just seem to be knocking on the door. Another coaching change with them. But I thought it was a necessary coaching change. And, you know, talent-wise, again, they're not a great team. There's other teams with more talent. But when you've got Josh Allen, you've got a chance, right? And I like their chances this year. I think the league getting rid of that extra bye week really hurt a lot of teams. They're one of those teams, especially last year. But when you look at the rest of the contenders that I have got, the Ravens, they're one, obviously, another coaching change. So we'll see if that can help Lamar and company get over the hump. The Packers, even though since Jordan Love's really great first year, they've kind of regressed and they've got some questions at running back. The Chiefs, who had a bad year last year, but we all know their pedigree. The Chargers, with Justin Herbert and McDaniel now at offensive coordinator. I think they could really be a sneaky good team this year. And then the Eagles, the team that won the Super Bowl 2 years.
Okay. All right. So here we go, man. The list gets a little bit tougher now. Dustin, we're going to go ahead and start with you on this one. What do you think about Brian's and who are your contenders going into 2026?
Yeah, I mean, his list wasn't that bad. Obviously, I just said the Eagles. I don't think they're a contender, so I would take that off the list. I think, again, I don't see a team repeating. So when we're saying contenders, like I think what he said was the perfect way to put it. You've got like Super Bowl tier list, and then contenders who really still do have a chance. And I think the Seahawks still deserve to be on the list because of their defense. That whole division besides Arizona. I mean, again, the Rams, the 49ers, like that division is just unbelievable. And y'all know me, I'm one of the biggest riders the last couple of years for Super Bowl on the Rams bandwagon, and I'm not getting off of it. I think they're the number one pick. I think Aaron Donald is going to come back at some point. I just don't think he wants to do training camp. And if you have Stafford still throwing balls to Nakua and Devontae Adams, and you add Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald to that mix, even if Donald don't come back for say the first 4 games, who knows? I mean, you had Myles Garrett. I mean, that team is just – I know it's one of those stacked on paper teams, and it's hard to prove it, just like some of these dream teams. But they've already been there at the doorstep. They've already won a Super Bowl. They've already been right there at the doorstep again, and they're going to be there again. So they're on my list. Obviously the Bills with Josh Allen. I'm not going to take them off the list. I like the coaching change. Joe Brady was here in Carolina as an offensive coordinator, and I thought he got a bad rap with that with Matt Rule when he was here, and I think he's one of the bright offensive minds in this league. So how he uses Josh Allen in this offense now will be interesting, but I think they're definitely going to be in there. New England with that salty taste in their mouth. Can Drake May, how will he come back? I think they're in there. So those are the contenders I'm looking at. Baltimore obviously is going to be there. I'm going to tell you one contender I had in the sleeper category, but I'm also going to put in the contender category that's going to surprise some people. Maybe not to win the Super Bowl, but could make a deep, deep run. I'm back on the Cincinnati Bengals bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
I think Joe Burrow and them are going to have a huge year. They trade for Dexter Lawrence. I know they got rid of the 10th pick, so that was tough, but it helps their defense. They added a couple more free agents in defense. I think this is a year that they could win this division and make some noise. So I'm going to add them to the contenders list. So those are some names I have. I hate to mention Denver, but you add a Jalen Waddle for Bo Nix and their defense. I think they'll be there as well. And the last one I'll say is what he said. I'm very high on the Chargers. You get year 2 of Harbaugh. You get year 2 of Amari and Hampton. Yeah. You get year 2 of Herbert in that system, bringing McDaniels, again, guys, it ended badly, but people were talking about this guy, him and Kevin McDonald in the same sentence as offensive minds in the league. So I just really like what they're doing, so I think they could be on that list as well. So good list by Diardo, and I think those are the contenders that we're looking at.
AJ.
Yeah, I love what Dustin said about Cincinnati, because Cincinnati, I mean, they're in a precarious situation in terms of they cannot go 4 years in a row without making the playoffs, because the last time was the 2022 season. But they are built to definitely do that. And like you said, Dexter Lawrence being on a defensive line is going to help them bring wonders to them. Really, Joe Burrow just has to stay healthy. That's the main thing. Yep. Like literally, he has to stay healthy, and they should be fine. Like they're the only coach in that division that's remaining from the previous year is Zach Taylor.
Absolutely, and that will help.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So you have some of that continuity from that aspect. So I like that one for sure too. And then like I'll mention a couple more too. But what Brian said, the Packers, I do not see it because first of all, Josh Jacobs, the stuff off of the field, and Micah Parsons is hurt too. Like he's not going to return to like week 6 or week 7, something like that as well. Like we're really going to learn even more about Jordan Love too, and their wide receiver room is just a committee of guys. And they signed Christian Watson to that $100 million contract extension. I believe the most yards he's had in a receiver season is 600 or something like that. I don't know about that, so I don't think the Packers are there. But just other teams, like I like what Dustin said about the Broncos as well too, because that defense, I mean, they've led the league in sacks the previous 2 seasons. Bo Nix will stay healthy. Jalen Waddle being there, though, of course, that's going to be intriguing, and we'll see there. But no, I mean, the AFC, they have a lot. Like, there's a lot of teams, and I think last year the NFC like really dominated from a team perspective. Like I think they had the best teams last season. Obviously, Rams being there as well too. Now with Myles Garrett being there, and then potentially Aaron Donald's return. But people would forget about Byron Young, too. He had 12 sacks last year. So their defense is built well. Offensively, we know they have Puka Nacua. Trent McDuffie also being there defensively as well, too. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a ton of contenders, too. I mean, they have to, of course, put it on paper and play on the field. But I like those teams. Seattle, too. I mean, I'm intrigued to see how Jadarian Price does translate to the next level. And, like, people aren't talking about the offensive coordinator change as much as they should be in Seattle because, I mean, it's definitely a real thing for sure because Clint Kubiak, I mean, he's one of the best young offensive minds in the league going to the Raiders now.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but, I mean, Seattle, I think they'll still be fine. Like, the defense will be fine. I think really just going to come down to what the offense does because, I mean, they could hold them back in weight just because it's trying to get over that learning curve from a, new regime standpoint. But, those are some of my teams for sure.
All right, Jacob Meadows.
I liked Yarda's list. I like what Dustin said a little more, but I like Yarda's list. I will say, so Rams and Niners, showing some love. Rams and Niners, right? The NFC. Of course, you have to say them. I am off Seattle's bandwagon this year, but Rams and Niners, yes. The Rams on paper have the best team since the Dream Team Philadelphia.
It's unbelievable.
And it's better, right? The Rams have a better team than the Dream Team. The Rams are unbelievable, especially if Aaron Donald comes back. Now, Dustin, you did leave off a team that I was a little surprised to see.
I have
you leave
one more,
off.
but I haven't announced it yet, and you're probably going to say what it is.
I'm about to take them, I'm pretty sure, because to be honest, I'm 50-50 on them in the NFC, and I think the Carolina Panthers are one of my the Panthers are one of my contenders, right? So I have the Chargers and Broncos, whom I'm very high on, assuming that Bojangles Nixon comes back from this injury and he has a full return to form, right? If he has a full return to form, Bojangles Nixon with Jalen Waddle and that offense and that incredible defense, good. The Chargers, Gene, you and I had them last year. They only got better. Yeah. The Chargers are stacked. They are very good. I also, until proven wrong, I do have the Texans on this list as they have the number one defense in the league. And as long as CJ Stroud plays well, it's an immediate run into the playoff. If you get some favorable teams in the playoffs, because I don't think it'll be a wild card berth. If you get some favorable matchups, the Texans have a path to the Super Bowl. They had it last year, and they fumbled the bag about as hard as anybody possibly could, about 5 times, actually. So there's something to be there, but I'm not off the Texans bandwagon. So, yeah, Texans, Chargers, Broncos, Rams, Niners, Panthers.
Well, listen, real quick, I want to appreciate you saying the Panthers. I really do, and I do like where they're headed. I think what they did in the off. When I was thinking contenders, I was thinking Super Bowl, but I definitely think the Panthers can win this division again, and because of what they did on defense, bringing in Jalen Phillips, bringing in Devin Lloyd. I mean, they brought in the top 2 free agents in defense to their defense that was kind of struggling. So I really think that's going to improve it. It's hard for me to talk about it right now because it's day 1 of training camp, and we've already lost our starting edge to a torn ACL. So that is brutal. But I do like what they're doing. I think Bryce is going to have a great year with T-Mac in year 2. Chuba Hubbard still in the backfield. Look out for Jonathan Brooks, the rookie coming back from ACL. It looks amazing right now. So yes, I am high on the Panthers. They got to stay healthy because we've only had 1 practice, guys, and Scorton's down with the ACL, and their starting right tackle is out with blood clots with Taylor Moton. So they did draft the rookie in the top 15 who will start at right tackle, so I think they'll be fine. But if you have that many injuries on day 1, we got to make sure that just don't start stacked up and piling up. Gene, real quick, the one team I was going to add for you, and I know Jake is probably going to shake his head, and I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but for the first time, nobody is talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. And if Patrick Mahomes comes back week 1 and feels healthy enough to play, and you add a guy like Kenneth Walker who can carry the load because the last couple of years, Pacheco hasn't been it. These other guys haven't been it. You add him, you bring Kelsey. I know he's older, but you bring him back for continuity. You hopefully, if this guy Rice can get his act together, you get him back on the field for a season, year 2 of Xavier Worthy. Like, this is the perfect spot for them to be in, for everybody to talk about Denver and the Chargers and nobody to talk about Andy Reid and the Chiefs. They could make a jump this year.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised because not only did they got Kenneth Walker because, Pacheco obviously was not the answer and Hunt was not getting it done. But how about bringing back Eric Bieniemy? So you sort of like you're getting the band together. You got the mastermind behind that successful offense. So given a chance, if Mahomes is good to go, and I can see that. I can see them definitely being in the contending. But AJ and Dustin, I can pick it back on Cincinnati because here's a team. Look, Joe Burrow, I think 3 out of the last 6 years, I think he's missed like 6 games, so he needs to be out there. That defense definitely needs some help. I think they allowed 27 points a game scored on them was an average, I think, at least within about 10 of those games. And then having Dexter Lawrence with that defense should help them out quite a bit. That was a humongous pickup for them. And we already said that Zach Taylor's the man. He's the man in the division now. So he can say, hey, I know this division better than anybody now. So I think Cincinnati is going to make some noise. So I do have them as a contender. I got the Texans there. Look, this is like a contract year for CJ Stroud. So you know what happens in contract years? Crazy things happen. But, they got to get it done because no one has mentioned the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, so
To
Jacksonville is not
fall.
like Liam Cohen is not going to.
Jacob's
I mean, he
favorite team.
did wonders last year with Jacksonville, and you got Bashant. What's his name? Tootin.
Yeah.
Tootin is going to be back
Yeah.
there running the ball.
Parker
So I
Washington.
mean, no Travis Etienne, but they got a guy. They already had their guy. So that's going to be interesting. So I don't know. I don't know what I think you got. We have to mention Jacksonville. And some of these teams that we didn't mention, of course, we definitely will be talking about these guys.
Yeah.
When we do our division picks. But I got the Bears in there. I got the Patriots because even though you can say they were a pretender, I mean, Mike Vrabel was a hell of a coach, man, and I don't think they're going to drop off all that much, okay? And I think they might be there. And, of course, I got the Dallas Cowboys. I got the Dallas Cowboys in there as a contender. I just think you have to get away from the cliche of, oh yes, it's the same old Cowboys, and I mean the teams do actually try to get better. They got
Win. It's been almost almost 40 years now. Win.
Well, look, it's going to happen one of these days.
All right, 95.
When it does happen, I want to be on the right side of it to say I told you so. No,
I think 2 years ago you had him in the Super Bowl.
No, but we're gonna see though. I mean, and you're right, Quentin Williams. I mean, good Lord, yeah, it's gonna make a lot of sense when the season starts because you're gonna see this guy out there doing what he does. That was a major pickup for Dallas. So we're gonna see. I mean, I think that division, I think it's a winnable division, and we just said what Washington and the Giants are not really gonna have high expectations, and so. They don't have to worry about the Eagles, and I think they're going to be a contender. So, guys, this has been fun. AJ, appreciate you coming on, man. And I know you also do a show on YouTube, so just let everybody know where they could go and hear all your great stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Just my YouTube channel here at AJ Russ, posting about NFL, NBA, Marvel, DC, pop culture, all things in that nature as well too. So stay tuned for a lot. Right now I'm doing my NFL season previews for all 32 teams as well. So right now I'm in the AFC East. So stay tuned for that. I'm doing every division. So yeah, a lot more great things coming.
And we'll see you throughout the season too, because because now for some reason if Dallas starts 0-6, we want you on the show right away. It's an emergency call we're gonna make to you.
I'll be on regardless. The only way that happens is if Dak gets hurt, CeeDee Lamb gets hurt, George Pickens gets hurt, Javonte Williams gets hurt. That's how they go 0-6.
Possibility.
It happens.
Sure. Anyways.
All right, Dustin, man, it's good to see you, man. We know you you were under the weather there. You're looking good. You're sounding good. So we got a long season ahead, man.
Yeah, man. Glad to be back. Glad to be back talking football. Now that I'm, getting healthy after my surgery, listen, I'm ready to really dive into the homework because I had to come on tonight because Jacob, I did get a text from Gene that says your hot takes was driving him a little crazy, and he needed some backup. So I was like, I can't leave my guy Mean Gene hanging, so I had to hop on here.
I blew so much smoke on the Browns last week. I rolled out the red carpet for how they could possibly be relevant this season because it is the Shadur show, baby.
Yeah.
DW4 doesn't last 4 weeks. Shadur is going to take exactly AJ's taking him to the Super Bowl.
Mean Gene over under 2 weeks in the preseason before we get a comment on our YouTube channel that says they think Jacob's smoking weed again.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I made it to week 1 last year.
All right, so hey, look, we want to thank all of our viewers out there that you guys chimed in. Make sure you tell somebody. We're going to be around the entire NFL season all the way to the Super Bowl, and then we cover the draft. We do all of that great stuff. So our prediction shows are really, really interesting. I heard we made some people money last year with our predictions. So we can't wait till we get started with that, especially with the season kickoff. But we got a whole lot of other stuff to get you excited about. The divisional show. So every Wednesday night is where you can catch us for the rest of the year because we definitely want to be on before the Thursday night game. But we got to cover all of the divisions, including who we think is going to win the division and our Super Bowl predictions. All of that's going to be happening right here on our Sports Kings YouTube channel. So guys, good show. Great. Good evening. And we'll see you back next week. AJ, good luck, man.
Thank you, bro.
Well.